Yes, it is now. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It is very, very good to see you. All right. Now we have with us Angel Romero. And Angel proudly serves now as the Vice President for Resource Development at United Way of Greater Topeka. In his role, he oversees all United Way fundraising activities, so he's really pretty busy. We see him out and about a lot. That includes workplace campaign, major giving, planned gifts, and grants. Prior to coming to United Way, Angel worked for 2 years as a data analyst for the Kansas Board of Regents. He moved to Topeka in 2006 to attend Washburn University, and we're excited because we know, as Angel says, he hasn't looked back since. He's really engaged in the community. He graduated from Washburn University in 2010 with a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and went on to graduate from Washburn School of Law in 2013 with a Juris Doctorate, making him a proud double Ichabod alum. He serves on various community boards, including the Topeka Civic Theater, Capital Area Crime Stoppers, and Forge Young Professionals. In addition, he serves as Vice President of the Board for Kansas Association for the Youth Alumni Network and spends at least 1 week each summer mentoring high school students in the KAY Leadership Camp. He's a 2010 graduate of Leadership Greater Topeka and a 2011 alum of the 20 Under 40 honorees. So let's welcome Angel Romero.
Good morning, everyone. So I know myself well, and I know that I like to wander. So I thought this would probably be the best way to accomplish that. So if anyone can't hear me, feel free to let me know. But I'm excited to be here with you today, in part to get to present with Leo, which is always fun. And you realize that there's so many really great things that are happening in our community and with our Forge and professional organization in general. I think there's so much exciting momentum, to borrow a phrase, and so many exciting ideas that are happening with our young professionals in the community. So Forge Your Future, when we're talking about voting and voter engagement, Forge Your Future is our initiative of Forge, which is a committee of Forge that deals specifically with that issue of voter engagement in our community. Kind of a little backstory as to how we got here. This is an example of what happens when you tell people when you yell at your TV a lot and you decide that you can't keep yelling at your TV and you need to do something about it. So actually before this got started, back in 2015, a buddy of mine and I were sitting around and said, you know what, something needs to change. At that time, we were looking at upcoming elections for city council members. In that odd numbered year, and we're looking at projected voter turnout. I think I just read an article that said voter turnout was projected to be somewhere around 10 or 11%. And we sat there and said, these are the people who have some of the biggest impact on your daily lives. You know, when you think about local elections, you're talking about the streets you drive on every day. You're talking about people who are making decisions about police and fire and the people that you're interacting with on a daily basis. And with all due respect to our colleagues in the federal level of government, these are some of the decisions that impact your daily life the most. And the fact that only 10% of registered voters would bother to have a stake in deciding who those people are drove us crazy. And so we decided in 2015, we formed an organization, kind of a loose organization called Topeka Votes, and really set out to just get information out to people on, hey, did you know that there's an election coming up? And this is what the election is for. Did you know who your city council members are? Because when it comes to local elections, you know, we're inundated every day with stuff that's happening, certainly at the national level, in politics and elections. And we get that to a state level as well, but when it comes to local elections, a lot of people either don't pay attention or don't know where to go to find the resources and find the information they need. So that first initial effort of ours was really to get information out to people. And we engaged with different candidates in that election. They just kind of kept things on a small scale, did a little bit of door-to-door to pass information out to people in city council districts that had elections going on, just so that we can inform people, so people knew, hey, there is an election going on, go vote. So fast forward a little bit to 2017. Turns out that there are other people in my demographic who have been yelling at their television too. And so we had all got together, and Forge we knew that there was a lot of momentum happening with Forge, and we had a conversation within Forge about, it is really critical, especially now, because there are lots of big things happening in the city. rather it's economic development, downtown revitalization, riverfront, rather it's just people who just care about infrastructure, about streets, about having infrastructure that supports quality of life. There are a lot of really, really big, important things happening in the city, and people need to be engaged. You know, it's not an option with this many things happening in the community to really sit back. And we all have ownership in this community. And we all are going to be impacted by the things that our city council members and our mayor are working on. And so it's just not an option, especially for our demographic. And the numbers are bad in general for turnout in primary and local elections, but when it comes to people in the 18 to 24-year-old demographic, they're absolutely terrible. And so we decided in 2017, we knew, of course, that was a mayoral election year. And while all local election years are important, mayoral election we knew was critically important because this is the person that's going to be leading our city in the midst of lots of really big things that are happening. And so we put together a group of individuals from our Forge organization and formed what we called Forge Your Future. Not Forge Your Vote, which I accidentally said in a media interview one time. That means something completely different. And I told them to make sure to edit that. But Forge Your Future. And so what we wanted to do was a couple different things. And we formed this before the primary election for mayor in 2017. We really wanted to get people registered to vote. We knew when it came to individuals in the 18 to 24-year-old demographic, they only made up about 8% of registered voters overall. And so we knew that we had some work to do to try and engage people to just register to vote. We know, especially when we think about our demographic as young professionals, a lot of times we're talking about people who are new to the community. And so they might be registered, but they're not registered to vote in Kansas, or they're not registered to vote at their current address. So we knew that we had some different challenges and things that we wanted to engage with there. And so we started simply at all of our Forge events having ways for people to register to vote at Forge events. Because we knew that's something that people were already going to anyway, so let's meet them where they're at and engage people there. But then we started to think bigger, and we said, you know, there are some people who are very well-intentioned, but they feel like they just don't know what's going on, and so they choose to sit out the election because they don't know who's running, they don't know anything about them or their positions, and they want to make a well-informed, well-intentioned vote, but because they don't know, they decide to sit back. And so we said, well, let's remove one of those excuses. So we decided to try and engage people in a way to find out more about who their elected officials are. But we knew, because we are young people, that we wanted to do it in a fun and different way. So when it came time for the mayoral primary election, we said, well, let's have a meet and greet forum type thing for people to meet the candidates and ask them questions. And we started thinking about it. We said, you know, there's a lot of these events that you can go to where you kind of go and you sit and the people are on the stage and you get to talk and they answer questions, and those are kind of done over and over, and you don't see a lot of people our age that go to them. And we said, well, how can we change it up? And how can we give people a reason to go and make it fun and different for them? So one of our members on our committee is Carice Mapes, who's the publisher of 75 magazine. She lives in a historic home downtown, huge, big old house. And she said, what if I open my house for a night and we have our candidate forum in my house? And she just happened to have enough bedrooms and we had enough candidates running for mayor that we had each candidate go to a different room in the house. And when people came in, we had people schedule times in shifts, and so we had different rotations throughout the night. And so people came in, and we started off, we partnered with Washburn to have one of their political science professors come, and first off, tell everyone what exactly the mayor does. Because I know that sounds weird, but there are a lot of people who just don't know. And in Topeka, it's a little unique, and it's a little different from other communities. So we had to have an overview of just what the mayor does, and why that's important, and how city government works in general, just to give people some of that really important background and context before they went into these discussions. And then after that, we broke people up into groups, and they grabbed a beer, they grabbed some food, and they rotated between different rooms in this house. And so someone was in the kitchen, someone was in a parlor room, someone was upstairs, and they got to have these one-on-one conversations in small groups with all the candidates running for mayor. And so walking around each of those rooms was a cool experience because there are really neat conversations happening that covered a wide range of topics. So it was really interesting to see the questions that came up, the kinds of things that people wanted to talk about, and how much and how eager. What made this partly so successful was because all of the candidates were eager to engage. And all of them answered questions, and all of them wanted to talk more. And even after the event officially ended, a lot of them stuck around afterwards to have a beer and talk with the people that were there. And so we experienced some really great interactions and really great things that were happening there. From that, we actually compiled a Young Professional voter guide. So we developed a voter guide that had questions that were specific to Forge and that our members came up with. Questions that talked about some quality of life things, that talked about, one of the questions was, why should young professionals stay in Topeka? We got to ask the kind of questions that we thought were relevant and important to us as young professionals, and we had great response. And we asked everyone running for mayor, and by that time we also asked everyone running for city council. And so we were able to produce a voter guide that went out on our Facebook page and our e-newsletter to a couple hundred of our members with a comprehensive set of information about the people running for local elected office. And to this day, that document still remains one of our most trafficked items on our website, and people really engaged with and shared and that sort of thing, because it was a great tool for people to utilize. Because again, it was all about information. Let's give people as much information so people can feel like they're informed and feel like they have a reason to go out and vote. And then, of course, on election night, we partnered with 75 Magazine. Again, they, for a couple of years, had an election night watch party where people can come to a bar, and if you show your I voted sticker, you get a free drink, which is a pretty sweet deal. And so we did that event both for the primary election and for the general election. And we also, during the general election, did partner with the Greater Topeka Partnership on their candidate forum, with the social beforehand to let our members meet the candidates as well. What we know from that election is we did see, when you compare mayoral election to mayoral election, there was a 5% increase in voter turnout from about 4%, from 14% to 19%. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that that was all us, but I do like to think that we played a small role in that. I think a combination of us, efforts that League of Women Voters does, that other organizations are doing, and the fact that we did have really engaged candidates who really made a big deal about their campaigns and really did a lot to engage people and talk about what their campaigns are about. I think a combination of those things all really helped us to get there. 19%, make no mistake, is still really low. But I think it was good momentum, and it was momentum in the right direction. So looking at this year now in 2018, of course, now we have midterm elections that are happening, and we also have local elections that are going on for county commission seats, for state house, state legislative seats, and so our efforts are still ongoing. What we know for our work is we really want to try and keep our work as local as possible, because we know it's important to vote at every level. Those local elections are the ones that suffer the most, and again, these are the people who are impacting your daily lives the most. So we've been doing some different things. One of the things that we know is going to be important for our success going forward is partnerships. And so one of the things that we're trying to think about more and attempting to engage more is to partner with other organizations, because there are groups like League of Women Voters, like the YWCA's advocacy group, that are doing really good work. And the last thing we want to do is hurt other people's efforts or work against other people. And so we really want to be diligent in making sure that we partner with those other organizations and do a better job of that going forward. We actually have an event coming up on the 24th in just a couple weeks at the Jayhawk Theater. On July 24th from 5:30 to 7, we're doing a candidate meet and greet that night. For our young professional members, that candidate meet and greet is for candidates that are in contested local primary races. So that would be the 55th House District and the 1st County Commission District. Both those races have actual contests in their primaries, and I think almost all the candidates in both those races have RSVP'd for that evening. So that's going to be a meet and greet opportunity for our members there as well. On August 7th, the primary election night, we will have a watch party that night. We're working to firm up the location and the details for that as well. And we'll most likely also have a candidate voter guide that comes out as well that we'll push out to our members. One other thing you'll notice if you go to our Forge Facebook page, we did start what we've called the Late Lunch Show, which are a series of fun, very quick, informative videos that are interviews with different local office holders. Again, trying to educate people and trying to do some work before the election happens, so that we're not waiting until the last minute. We said, now we've elected all these people, let's let people know who they are. So these videos are short, they're only about 3 or 4 minutes. And there's a mix of kind of serious questions and then some fun questions. I think we asked, if you could give Topeka a hashtag, what would it be? Where's your favorite local place to eat in Topeka? So we try to keep them fun and relevant. We call it the Late Late Lunch Show because it comes out on our Facebook page at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we try to do it in a fun and different way to engage our members. So I see Karen's been one of our guests on there, and I know Mike's going to be on one of our upcoming ones as well. And so we're really excited, and we've had a lot of fun with those, and those get a lot of traffic and get shared on our social media page as well. The last thing, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that July 17th is the voter registration deadline for the upcoming primary election. So there are a few days left to either register or if you change your address to do that as well. But with that, I think I will answer any questions that you all may have.
Angel,
Yes.
if you could give Topeka a hashtag, what would it be?
If I You're so good. I like the hashtag Top City. I love that we have the sign for it too, but I just think it's cool.
I say all my I voted stickers, and I was wondering if I showed up with more.
You'll-
Can I share a drink?
There's only one way to find out.
What has Big Forge done in the way of reaching out to the Latino community and the Black community to also have a voice in the
Sure. Yeah, that was actually our one of our last meetings. That was our conversation about how do we make sure that we're not hitting the same people over again and people that look just like us. And so part of that conversation involved into we need to partner with some more organizations because we have a sense that there are some organizations like LULAC and some other groups that are already doing some of that work that I think we can partner with and help in their efforts. I know Louise was sweating it out and doing voter registration at Fiesta, and so to the extent that we can support efforts like that, I think would be really great. I think we did a little of that the year before, but if we can do more partnership. And we did sit down, we kind of had a night where we nerded out with some electoral data and looked at districts and where people are and where voter turnout rates are lower than others to try and do some micro-targeting. And so that's some of our future plans where we'd really like to go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
When my children were in elementary school, when they have events, the parents are always asked to volunteer for something.
Mhm.
And I volunteered, I don't know if USD 501 continues it, to have a table for voter registration. And what I was struck by was when I would ask young couples, and we had our children later in life, and so most of the couples were, I said, are you registered? Have you? Well, no. I was struck by how many of those folks who came in were not registered to vote. So the point being, how do you reach the various ethnic groups in our community? They go to school somewhere. I don't know if 501 allows that, but a simple sheet that would say why vote for local elections, school board, county commission, city council, mayor, with a little blurb about what each one of them does, with the ability to register right here, might have been.
Yeah. It's really, I think, anytime where we can meet people where they're already at,
Right.
is really good. That's a good idea.
Thanks for your presentation.
Yeah.
I don't know where you get all the energy. Another idea I thought is, and I like your comment about going to where people already are. We learned that a long time ago in law enforcement, but having the law enforcement meeting separate from everything else, combine it with the community event. Churches, I know that's another place that sometimes we kind of disconnect from them and getting that community service message out. They're focused on that church and volunteering for the church, but as a larger community, have the churches been approached? I would have thought pastors and so forth, and flyers, comments in the newsletters, things like that, to have the congregations, because those people show up on a regular basis, but they have extended families, obviously, and that worked out.
Yeah, we haven't done a lot of that, but we should, because I think one of the little things that we did, a lot of churches are polling sites. And so we did have some conversations in the last election about some of them were excited. One of the things that we did was we had a night where we got the whole list of precincts and polling sites, and we created a Facebook event for every single polling site in the city of Topeka. and then invited people to the extent that we knew that actually voted at that polling site. And so many of those were churches, and so a lot of the churches were really excited about that effort. So I think you're right, that there's probably some really good work we can do there.
Angel, thank you so much for this work. Two things. One, I don't know, when you started talking about schools, when Jim brought that up, I always thought that kids voting Kansas was a wonderful deal because the kids got familiar with how to vote before they got any older. And I say that for two reasons. One, what I just said, but second, as an elected official and somebody who's knocked on those doors and had a chat with folks about why they don't vote. One of the funny things that happens is that candidates who get coached on how to do this only go to the doorsteps of people who already vote, which means that they are not the ones reaching out to, now people change address a lot in District 1, so it seems to be no problem. But we're missing those folks. And also the targeted election materials only go to the people who voted in the last 2 elections for that candidate. So even somebody who just registered doesn't get any material in the mail. They don't get the phone calls, and maybe at the last minute if somebody's really on it. Something I realized though, and you touched on it right at the beginning of your remarks, just because somebody is registered doesn't mean they vote. And that issue about being comfortable with who the candidates are, one of the things I do is coach people that listen, it's okay to go and just vote for one that you're sure of. There won't be a little buzzer go off and somebody run out and tell you didn't finish your test. I mean, people don't want to be embarrassed. They also do not realize, I can't tell you how many times people have told me that they registered to vote for president somewhere along the way. That's what they do, they vote for president. Well, it turns out they don't know, they don't realize for sure that they're registered to vote for anything. And they don't want to ask because we're all supposed to know kind of in our DNA, right?
Yeah.
And they also don't know that the polling place is the same each time. And you guys are so good with media and marketing that thinking about, you started on some of that, it's so fundamental that I didn't realize people didn't know this.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think about that first, but there's a lot that we can all do
Absolutely.
to bring people along. It's not just registering. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. You're absolutely right. I answer that question a lot for people that said, I'm registered to vote for president, but didn't realize that applied. Because that was one of the things that surprised me the most. I got that.
We get told that in elementary school and again, but people just don't know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Thanks
some
so much.
awesome points. Yeah. So we will follow up.